Welcome to the Body Peace Podcast, formerly known as Her Story on a Plate. This podcast has always been a space for deep, nuanced conversations about food, body image, and the stories our bodies carry. But as conversations have grown, so has our mission.
That's why this is now the Body Peace Podcast, a name that reflects what we're truly here for, helping you step off the battlefield with your body and move toward more compassion, connection, and ease.
Each episode will bring real, honest dialogue with your hosts, me, I'm Jennie Kramer.
And me, Nina Manolson. We'll also be joined by guests whose personal stories and professional wisdom offer new ways of thinking, feeling, and being in your body.
We're so glad you're here. Welcome to the Body Peace Podcast.
Jennie, we had to have this conversation. Yes, we had to have this conversation eventually. It's about sleep, because you and I have talked about sleep a fair amount just when we're chatting together. And it's so related to our relationship with our food, with our body, with how our mood, with everything.
Guilty as charged. I don't sleep. I'm just telling you right now, I don't sleep.
Yeah, I'm not a great sleeper either.
I haven't slept a full night, actually, probably since menopause began.
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that is everything that we do with our schedules. You know, we're supposed to fit everything in.
Yeah.
As women, we leave two things to the end of the day: sleep and peeing. We forget to do both. So that's why we're talking about this.
So we need to talk about sleep. So first of all, I want to put it in context to our conversation here in Her Story on a Plate. How sleep is so interconnected to food, because when we're tired and we're feeling depleted, where do we go for energy?
One of the things that comes up so often in the folks that I work with is this confusion between thirst, hunger, and fatigue. Like if we just check in for 5 seconds and say, am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Then you at least have a choice about what has to be addressed. If you're tired or you're thirsty, food probably won't do it, but you won't discover that until it's too late. If you're thirsty, obviously you want to make sure you're hydrated. If you're tired, don't take a nap, please, if you're driving to work. But if you're in a place where you can rest your eyes, meditate, do something like that, your body will appreciate it more than giving it what it didn't ask for.
Yeah. And there's something baked into what you said, which is checking in with your body. So what we're talking about right there is a very powerful awareness, which is interoceptive awareness. What's happening inside our body, which most of us in a busy day are not as connected. We're connected with what's happening at work. We're connected with what's happening to our parents, to our kids, to our environment. So that moment of, let me ask, am I tired? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? And allowing ourselves that moment of what is happening inside.
Yeah, and because it does take a moment, doesn't it? It takes a moment to really ask your body the question and see the answer that you get. Then you have a choice about how you want to respond, but at least check in.
And those three things, hunger, thirst, and exhaustion, really. I could say tiredness, but most of us are actually experiencing exhaustion. We will experience them most likely in different places in our body. And so to really take a moment, close your eyes, and scan inward. What do I feel? Where is sensation? Because even that can help us, right? Is the sensation sort of lower in my body? Is it like sort of tummy area? Is it headachy? Those are the places where hunger shows up a lot. I have a headache. I have a grumble in my stomach. Or is it mood related? I'm irritable, right? That could be hunger, but it could also be exhaustion. Thirsty often is that feeling like I'm parched, which sometimes can feel like hunger. But to really be in this, like, where is this? What is this? Be in decoding the way you would with somebody who was smaller than you. You'd be like, so honey, how are you feeling? Do you need something to eat? You want to take a nap? Like, it sounds simplistic, but so essential.
You're raising something so interesting about how we treat others versus how we treat ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So imagine some positive parenting voice that says to you as an adult, whether they're in the room with you or not, whether they're alive or not, says to you, honey, what do you need? Just
Mm-hmm.
imagine that. I mean, as women, it's very hard sometimes
Mm-hmm. It
to let
is.
others really just offer it up, even if it's just a
Yeah.
voice in our head, let alone partners and other people that we work with and live with. But to imagine, whatever is that safe, either maternal, parental, caregiving voice that says, honey, take a moment. What do you need? Are you hungry?
Mm-hmm.
You're tired? Are you thirsty? Right? And
Yeah.
it sounds like we're putting a lot of emphasis on this, but we are, because I really think we confuse the cues all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And so in our efforts to do everything, and I think I've mentioned this before, I remember seeing Gloria Steinem at a conference maybe over a decade ago. She was just ridiculously compelling. And one of the things she said, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, was, when I said that women can do anything and everything, I didn't mean they had to do it all at the same time and all
Yeah.
at once. You're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have multiple roles, but you don't have to do everything at the same time. We
Yeah.
tend to fit it all in. Our role as professionals, as parents, as partners, as siblings, as friends, we put everything first in the
Yep.
same pot. So it's time to just take a moment. I mean, listen, hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, that you have a moment right now to listen in a way that isn't while you're doing 17 other things.
Yeah.
Maybe it's while you're taking a walk. Maybe it's while you're just sipping on a cup of something warm, whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
just to allow yourself the time.
Jenny, I want to loop back to that gentle voice, right? Because that gentle voice can bring us to a place of supporting ourselves to sleep. Because if we had a small print in our household, we would likely say, honey, it's time to go to bed.
Mm.
Get off the sofa, put down your electronics, go wash up, and lights out. We would not say, okay, stay on the sofa until you're completely exhausted, then try to go wash up, then hold on to your phone for another half hour until it drops out of your hand because you're so tired and you've fallen asleep with lights and sound on. We would not do that,
Guilty. Right. Guilty. Okay.
right? So, how to be that supportive voice, that supportive
Mhm.
presence for ourselves when it comes to sleep. And this is the section I want to get into, is why sleep is so essential. So, Jenny, would you kick us off? Because I feel like we need reminding of why we need to give this to ourselves.
Well, sure. I mean, so let me start with this. There are so many studies out there right now that are talking about really what is the key to a longer lifespan. So there's even this discussion about health span versus lifespan, right? It's not just
Mm-hmm.
how long can I hang around, but in what shape do I want to be when I hang around? So that's really health span. How do I get the highest quality of life? And it seems that there are three things that really are the most common factors, right? One is community, having people in your life that you know you can count on, that you feel a part of. The second has to do something with genetics. The third is sleep.
Yeah.
People who wind up having longer and healthier lives make it a priority to get sleep. Now, if you're of a certain age and you're listening to us and thinking, well, all right, now I'm screwed because look how long I've taken not to do that, it's
Mm-hmm.
never too late. I'm here to tell you that it's never too late. And for some, sleep feels like lost time. It isn't. It's cell restoration, it's
Mm-hmm.
brain reorganization. It actually has, I mean, and I think this is something that appeals to most people, it has an impact on metabolism
Yeah.
because our hunger hormones are suppressed while we're sleeping. And
Yeah.
so sleep deprivation, you can imagine, dysregulates your hunger cues. So I think these are just some of the essentials to keep in mind. This isn't just an optional item on my schedule. Gee, I guess I should get more sleep. This is really about your physical and emotional well-being.
Yep.
I mean, I find it fascinating that
And cognitive, like, how do we think? Are we sharp? And I want to drill down a little bit around the metabolism and the hunger
mm,
hormones. So there's ghrelin and leptin. And when we don't get sleep, they are not at the levels that we need to know I just ate a burger and now I am full, right? Our ability to experience I am at fullness, I am sated, gets weaker when we don't have sleep.
you bet. We're also talking about things like safety. I mean,
Mhm.
we all, well, most of us drive, and we drive tired.
Yeah.
And we're driving tired and possibly listening to something and trying to catch a text at a light. It's all very risky behavior.
Well, speaking of risky behavior, let's take it out of the car and put it into our primary relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We don't sleep. And then what's the conversation like? Right? How are we being as the person that we want to be or we wish we were in relationship where we're patient and we're listening both to our partner and to our kids or our parents and to ourselves? We're not at our most heart wide open because when we don't sleep, we're in survival mode.
We are literally in survival mode. It's interesting that you used that phrase. On a neurobiological level, we really are in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier to get more irascible and more easily upset at things. It's easier to not quite comprehend and misunderstand what you think you heard, and
Yeah.
then to be irate about because you know you're right about what you heard and
Mm-hmm.
actually you're not. So it really can affect everything. And look, I have a great deal of compassion for people that say, well, you know what, but here's the thing. I have two jobs, and so that's my schedule. Or listen, I work a night shift and that wreaks havoc with my body. Or
Yep.
it's really not my fault. I haven't slept since menopause. And so what do you want me to do about that? Well, there's plenty to do. But I
Yeah.
think what we're both saying is that the first step is really just taking a breath and taking a moment to recognize, wow, my sleep is really neglected and it's affecting me metabolically, cognitively, emotionally, physically, in every possible way.
And I deserve to put my attention and my focus on sleep. I deserve to take whatever the time is or get the support that I need or bolster all the systems that I know. Because we all know a lot of the things, right? We all know stop drinking caffeine after one. We all know make it dark in our room. We all know put away the electronics, right? There's basics that we know. But what else? Are you doing the basics, right? And then what else are you doing? Because there's been a time recently that I've been having these wild dreams and getting up in the night and then sort of a little wired and not able to sleep. And so the tendency is, let me pick up my phone.
Mm,
And I
worst
noticed
possible
those
choice, right?
nights, oh, worst possible choice,
Right.
right? Just game over. And so what I've been doing is, no, don't pick up your phone, pick up your eye patches.
Mm,
And for me, eye patches, just the kind that just lay on your eyes, the little strap in the back that are a little bit puffy. To me, it's akin to putting those little sheets on top of a bird cage and saying, okay, birdie, nighttime for you. It is dark. Because often when am I waking up at like 4:30 when the sun is coming up? Oh, the sun's up. Oh, there's a little light coming in my
mm-hmm.
room. I have to say to my body, stop. Even if you don't fall asleep, this is what I've said to myself for many years.
Yep.
Even if you don't fall asleep, laying here with eye patches on in the dark, with one hand on my heart and one hand on my solar plexus and breathing gently, that is restorative. Now, 8 times out of 10, I'm asleep in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm not. But I remember in the time where I was listening to a gazillion meditations to help me sleep, this one meditation said, lying, patiently waiting for sleep is more restorative than trying to get up and do something, than trying to like worry about how much sleep you're going to get.
Mhm.
Be patient with yourself.
And I will also say that you have to have a time limit on that. So if you've done everything you just said and 45 minutes goes by and you're really not falling asleep, at that point, it's actually advised to get out of bed, go to another room quietly, gently, not put on a backlit device, but to do something soothing out of the room in which you normally sleep, like reading, listening to some music. If you're going to read, obviously, it has to be a paper book or something that's, really, really low light until you start to feel a little sleepy and then go back to your bed. Because if you keep tossing and turning in your bed, that's what your body remembers. And then it's harder and harder each time to fall asleep in your own bed. You mentioned breathing. And I just want to say that there's this 4-4-4-4 method, 4-4s.
Mm-hmm. I call it the square breathing. Yeah.
Yes, perfect, right? So you take a breath in for 4 seconds and you hold it for 4 and you let it out for 4 and you do it 4 times. And I'm told that if you listen to our podcast long enough, you will fall asleep.
You
So
will
we're just
fall
doing
asleep.
our part for all women across America. So yeah.
There you go. But the question that I would ask also is, what has worked for you in the past?
Mm,
We all know all the things. We all know all the things. So what has worked? What is soothing? And what do you know disrupts your sleep? Because we're smart enough at this point. We have lived a year or two in our bodies and we know what is going to serve us and what isn't.
right.
And so, our invitation today to you who are listening to this is to say, how can I best support myself to get the kind of rest
Mm,
and sleep that I deserve? Because it will impact everything about your life.
yeah. And I do want to come back again to the relationship between a lack of sleep, a chronic lack of sleep, and not getting enough sleep, and how it affects our relationship to our bodies and to food. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a critical, critical connection.
Yep.
It's not just about the fact that your metabolism is absolutely being slowed down. It's that everything you do is actually slowed down and taking so much more energy to do. And so it really does affect literally everything. Now, I am certain there are folks listening who are thinking either, well, yeah, I know. Yes, this is me, but I really don't know what to do about getting more sleep. My day is too full. Well, you actually just said it. And I include myself in this group, which is to say, okay, am I doing the things I love? Am I doing the things that are important to me? Am I doing things that serve others, but also serve me? And where do I trim the list? As women, sometimes we have trouble delegating. We have trouble asking others why, mostly because they're not going to do it as well. However, we have to change our standards a bit to say, you know what? I can't do it all. I literally
Yeah.
cannot do it all. I can keep trying, but every time I do that, I'm sleeping less and less and
Yeah.
literally shortening our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing about that late night trying to do one more thing is
Mm.
that when we finally finish it, when we finally go, okay, like I'm stopping, then we do this thing of like what I call me time. Okay, everybody's asleep, everything's stopped, I put everything down. Now it's my time to watch my show, to do the things that I want. And even though it's coming from a place of, and what about me? It's at the expense of our sleep,
Yes.
right? So that dovetails into what you were saying, Jenny, about like, let's back up the expectation so that we actually put some of our me time in there so that then we still get to sleep Like our being with ourselves doesn't have to eat into the time where we're literally resetting. We're turning off the computer and we're letting it reset. And
Mhm.
that's what our brain needs. And when we're sleeping, our brain is getting rid of waste. It helps our synapses. We feel more able to think astutely
Yes.
and in the morning when
Yeah.
we have had sleep.
I don't know if you hear this. You must hear this from your clients as well. There are so many who do say to themselves, okay, I need an hour to unwind. This
Mhm.
is my time. That's taken care of. The kids are taken care of, the family, the
Yeah.
whoever, right? And
Right.
that's the time they binge. So it's an
Yes.
interesting thing that happens, right? You're on some level making this correct choice, which is, okay, I need time to myself. I need to not
Mhm.
be stimulated by others, not be attending to others, not serving others in this moment. And that's the moment that I choose to try to nurture myself. Now, that's not to say that food can't be nurturing. Of course it can and should be. But we're talking about that it becomes like the refuge. This is how I'm going to now take care of myself. I'm
Yep.
literally going to binge in a way that will, maybe that'll be the thing that makes me fall asleep. That's not how
Yeah.
you want to fall asleep, by the way, but that may
Right.
be the
But
thing that makes me fall.
what you're talking about is how we use food to regulate our nervous system,
Yes.
right? How do we turn down the volume on our nervous system? And we do that with food in a lot of different ways, right?
Right.
Sometimes for some people, it's binging. For some people, it's food choices, right? I was just talking to a client recently when she first came, she was saying how the way she eats has dramatically changed. And so we were talking about when she first started working with me, how she was we talked about it like dog treats. Like she would just give herself a gummy bear and a candy and like little dog treats to keep her surviving all day and keep enough sugar in her brain so that she could do her job.
Mm.
But she wasn't nourishing herself. She was surviving. She was surviving on little sleep and she was surviving on actually little food, which is something I see a lot in women who are conditioned into, I would like to be smaller. And so I need to eat less. And so then they don't eat. So, which
Which of course creates havoc
which creates
metabolically and in your body.
yeah.
So now think about this, right? At the end of the day, many haven't eaten, they haven't peed, and they haven't slept. And now they get this time alone and it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Hmm.
And they know on some level, I really should go to sleep soon. But by the way, I've deprived myself so much today. This is my time. And that's when now you're not even eating. Now you're ravenous.
Yeah.
It brings home the point again, which we can't say enough times, which is that if you think that somehow you're achieving some goal of creating a smaller body by not eating all day, it is not what you think. Your
Nope.
body must get energy all day long in 2, 3 hour segments. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Some people say, well, I'm not a breakfast person. Okay, that's all
Oh,
right. But by some point in the late morning, you want to start that process.
yeah.
And it does impact sleep,
Absolutely.
by the way. It's interesting. When you eat on a regular basis, you are more likely to sleep regularly. When you sleep enough, you are more likely to be able to eat in a more regulated way over the course of the day.
Absolutely. And there's two things I want to say in response. One is this idea of deprivation being baked into sleep, right? How I know I keep using that food metaphor, I can't help, but how we deprive ourselves all day and we deprive ourselves of sleep again as a way of not giving ourselves what we actually need in terms of nourishment. Which brings my second point, which is we're humans. Humans require food. That's a fact. We are
Yes,
humans. Humans require sleep. And so this whole idea that we can be superhuman and not eat and not sleep is not based in reality.
right. And I would add one more thing to that, which is this idea of what I'm going to call body movement. I didn't say exercise. I said body movement.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't because I have to. It isn't because I'm supposed to. It's because our bodies are meant to move. Whatever that means for you, if you can walk 10 minutes a day, walk around the block 3 times, it doesn't matter what it is. I promise you, you will sleep better. And I promise you that if you sleep better, everything else actually works better. But body
Yeah.
movement, no matter how much or little, unless it's too much, really does affect sleep in a very big way.
Yeah. And we're talking about 3 basic needs, right? Our body is designed to move. Our body is designed to sleep. Our body is designed to eat. This is how humans function.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we're women, we still have a body that needs those things,
You bet.
right? It's coming back to this place of we have needs and we deserve to meet those needs in the most compassionate, caring, supportive way we can. And if that's hard, then you need to get support. You can't be all the things all the time. And if that's hard, get help.
And if you say, well, you know what? I give so much to others. I just don't have anything left by the time I get to me.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest you reapportion. I suggest you look at that list of the people and the things that you give all of your time and energy to all day long and somehow leave some more for you. I mean, I think that's a critical piece. There's a lovely book called The Sleep Revolution. And it says The Sleep Revolution, Transforming Your Life One Night at a Time. I can't recommend it hardly enough. It really talks about the kinds of things that we're talking about, but it sort of is a sort of step-by-step way to do it if you're someone who needs that kind of guidance. It's a very good resource. Yeah. So in rounding this out, what are our takeaways today? One is for sure, even if you know you are someone who doesn't get enough sleep, don't write it off. Don't
Yeah.
say, well, when I retire, or, oh, well, when I can, or, oh, I know, I'll sleep on the weekends. I'll catch up on the weekends because I can't sleep during the
Mm-hmm.
week. It doesn't work that day, if only. It does not work that way. It's not a bank. You can't deposit and take it out when you need it. You have to have a consistent sleep for all of the reasons we've said, immunologically, cognitively, physically, mentally, spiritually, nutritionally, in
Mm-hmm.
every possible way. In case we haven't made the point, you really need to take a nap. I hope our show today has helped you do that, but you really, really do need to get some sleep. It's important.
Yeah. And that your sleep is connected to your eating. And so if you have no other reason beyond, you know what, I want to have a different relationship with food, then that's a good reason to sleep. There are a million reasons to sleep, but if you're listening to this podcast because I'm looking for a more supportive and caring relationship with my own body and food, that's a good enough reason to sleep.
For sure.
Jennie, thank you for this conversation.
We're so glad you joined us on this episode of Body Peace.
Stay connected as we continue exploring what it means to live in your body with more ease, trust, and care by subscribing to Body Peace on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen.
Be sure to visit us at bodypeacepodcast.com for special bonus content for those on our mailing list.